Today's top stories. The House of Representatives has approved new value-added tax sharing formula in the ongoing tax reform bills. Tertiary institutions to share 700 billion naira approved tertiary education trust fund grants for education development in Nigeria. And the technical subcommittee reviewed naira for crude oil policy in Abuja meetings. The House of Representatives has approved new value-added tax sharing formula, allocating 55% to states and 35% to local government councils. The approved followed the adoption of a report by the House Committee on Finance on 4 tax bills transmitted to the National Assembly by President Bola Tinubu in October 2024. Presenting the report, a chairman of the committee, Abiodun Faleke, summarized the extensive review process, which followed a public hearing held from February 26 to February 28, 2025. For states, 50% of the revenue is to be distributed equally, as 20% will be based on population and 30% will be based on consumption. The committee made 19 key recommendations under the Nigerian Tax Administration Bill, including a revised value-added tax distribution framework that had been a contention issue between state governors and the presidency. The Minister of Finance and the Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Wale Edun, has lauded the federal government's effort in approving a resource allocation strategy to enhance efficiency and sustainability while reducing reliance on high-cost commercial borrowing. Edun, who made this known at the opening of a 2-day high-level interactive session in the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, explained that rather than accumulating more debt, the government is prioritizing alternative funding resources such as revenue generation, concessional loans, and strategic investments. He noted that the administration had reached a stage where resource optimization takes precedence, leading to a shift away from the borrowing from commercial banks. The minister affirmed that the move aligns with broader efforts to promote fiscal responsibility and reduce the financial strain caused by expensive loans. Now, the Revenue Mobilization, Allocation and Fiscal Commission has made this known while receiving a delegation from the Investment and Securities Commission. It said it is reaffirming its commitment to reviewing the salary structure of public, political, and judicial office holders. The chairman of the commission, Mohammed Shehu, made this known while receiving a delegation from the Investment and Securities Tribunal led by its chairman, Amos Azi, in Abuja. He assured that the commission would conduct a thorough review to align with the tribunal's remuneration with constitutional provision. Shehu also commended the tribunal for its role in Nigeria's capital market, highlighting its global recognition as a model for dispute resolution while acknowledging the tribunal's efficiency in resolving investor-related conflicts to boost market confidence and economic stability. The Nigerian Exchange Limited has recorded a market capitalization gain of 82 billion naira as the UPDC PLC, International Breweries and Royal Exchange PLC led the gainers chart. The oil share index increased by 130.24 points to settle at 106,220.62 points. Despite this recovery, the market remained on a 1-week decline of 0.52% and a 4-week loss of 2.7%, while maintaining a year-to-date gain of 3.2%. University Press PLC topped the losers chart, declining by 10% to 4.32 naira 32 kobo per share. Now, the Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu has urged financial institutions to adopt practical measures to combat fraud in Nigeria's financial system. Speaking through his special advisor of finance, Oyeyemi Ayola, The governor stressed that the fact that financial fraud threatens businesses, investors, and national development. Sanwo-Olu called for collaboration among banks, corporate leaders, and citizens to build a culture of ethics and accountability, while urging industry leaders to move beyond policies and focus on strengthening compliance, enhance oversight, and foster ethical leadership. Now, still to come on the news, tertiary institutions to share 700 billion naira approved by TED Fund grants. We'll bring you this and other stories in a moment. Do join us again. Welcome back. Many thanks for joining us. Now, President Bola Tinubu has approved the disbursement of over 700 billion naira to tertiary institutions in Nigeria through the Tertiary Education Trust Fund, TED Fund. The Executive Secretary of the TED Fund, Sonny Echono, announced this during a strategic planning meeting in the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja. According to Echono, 48.9% of the approved fund is for annual direct disbursement, 42.18% for special direct disbursement, 8.72% for designated projects, and 0.20% for stabilization funds. Echono emphasized the government's focus on upgrading and rehabilitating outdated infrastructure while increasing research and academic development funding. Meanwhile, President Bola Tinubu has approved the upgrade of Maiduguri Airport in Borno State to international status. A special advisor to the President on Media and Public Communications, Sunday Dari, announced this via his verified X handle. He stated that the approval completes the establishment of at least one international airport each of Nigeria's 6 geopolitical zones. In a related development, the presidential spokesman announced the official takeoff of the African Aviation and Aerospace University in Abuja, which has been built to advance aviation and aerospace education, positioning Nigeria as a key player in the sector within Africa. And Minister of Aviation and Aerospace Development, Festus Keyamo San, has disclosed ongoing efforts to address the high cost of air tickets for both domestic and international travel. Keyamo will disclose this in his remarks at the ministerial press briefing in Abuja, also announced federal government's effort in enhancing airport safety and security. He outlined key factors contributing to exorbitant fares to include limited access to affordable aircraft leasing, trapped funds of foreign airlines, and high airport taxes. The minister also said efforts were ongoing between the government and foreign airlines to address costs of airfares. In the meantime, the Minister of Communications, Innovation, and Digital Economy, Bosun Tijani, has emphasized that enhancing security of digital transactions will accelerate financial inclusion in Nigeria. Speaking at an event in Lagos, Tijani said the government is committed to diversifying the economy and boosting productivity through technology-driven solutions. He reiterated the importance of artificial intelligence, AI, as a game changer that can transform multiple sectors. The minister also noted that when security of digital transactions are put in place through measures like the AI, Nigerian users would be protected from cyber fraud, phishing scams, and other malicious online activities, according to reports. In a related development, the federal government, in partnership with the private sector, is set to deploy 7,000 telecommunication towers to expand network coverage and digital access. According to the Minister of Communications, Innovation and Digital Economy, Bosun Tijani, the initiative, which is built for next year, will provide connectivity for 25 to 30 million Nigerians in underserved areas. Under the investment model, the government will hold a 49% stake, with private investors contributing 51%. Tijani further affirmed that the government aligns with a broader $2 billion investment in 90,000 kilometers of fiber optic cables to enhance broadband penetration. We're going to break in a moment. Media News returns shortly. To stay with us.
We've got just what you need right here at Femi Wash Media. Call it the Midas Touch, and you wouldn't be wrong. Let us record, produce, mix, and master your audio like nobody does. Reach us on our contact today for the best quality job.
What keeps the heartbeat of a community alive? Is it the courage to create, the power to connect, the vision to transform? Well, it's all of this and more. It's a symphony of ideas, innovation, and industry. But where do these stories come alive? It's right here on The Isle, 104.9 FM, the station where dreams meet action and growth finds its voice. The Isle, 104.9. Business, economy, development. Stay tuned.
Welcome back, and many thanks for joining us. The Technical Subcommittee of the Naira for Crude Policy have met at the Ministry of Finance headquarters in Abuja to review developments and reaffirm commitments to the framework. Discussions are focused on crude oil allocation for domestic refining, with NNPC presenting a delivery report. Also, the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority provided updates on local refining production, while representatives from the Dangote refinery and NNPC facilities shared progress reports to ensure steady supply. This comes as the Nigerian National Petroleum Company continues negotiations with Dangote Petroleum Refinery on renewing the Naira for Crude agreement set to expire on March 31st, 2025. Since its implementation in October 2024, the policy has enabled the supply of 84 million barrels to Dangote refinery, reducing petroleum imports and supporting economic stability. Still in oil and gas, Dangote Petroleum Refinery implemented a price reduction at its loading gantry yesterday, reducing the loading cost of its petrol from 825 naira per liter to 815 naira per liter. The then 10 naira price reduction is also expected to import a competitive reaction from private fuel depots, as there would be a downward review of pump prices to maintain market position. As of Tuesday, the landing cost of petrol imported into Nigeria dropped to 774 naira 72 kobo per liter, with marketers predicting that the continued price plunge may lead to a reduction in the pump prices of premium motor spirit to about 800 naira per liter. Now, the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, MAN, has said that a 65.84% increase in the value of manufactured goods exported in 2024 from 2023 is below expectation. A foreign trade in goods data of the National Bureau of Statistics showed the sector's export value sustained growth in the first quarter of 2024 within 268.70 billion naira, while second and third quarters amounted to 480.82 billion naira and 1.04 trillion naira. Speaking on the data, Secretary of the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria Export Promotion Group, Benedict Obiosa, said the decline in manufacturing sectors, the fourth quarter 2024 export performance was as a result of unfavorable manufacturing environment, especially in terms of infrastructure. Obiosa pointed out that the high cost of energy, high cost of borrowing, Erratic fluctuations in the exchange rate, among others, have culminated in the low performance of the manufacturing sector, while calling for lasting solutions to these challenges. Now, the Feed Millers Industry Practitioners Association of Nigeria, FIFPAN, has assured of reduced prices of eggs as the cost of poultry feeds continues to decline. The national president of FIFPAN, Ayola Oduntan, attributed the development of the federal government's agricultural policies, which he said are beginning to yield results. Oduntan noted that it takes a lot of time for agricultural policies to have an impact in the market, but assured Nigerians that the positive impact would soon be felt. FIFPAN president urged President Bola Tinubu to review tariffs on essential imports in livestock sector, noting that high duty charges and value-added tax on imported feeds, additives, and raw materials were affecting production costs, according to report. Now that's a wrap on the news. Do well to follow us on all our social media platforms on Souq News TV. I am Oyin Priye Krumare. Good afternoon to you once again.
Lateef Jakande. Born Lateef Kayode Jakande in the Ekpetedo area of Lagos Island, Lagos State, on July 1929. He studied at the Lagos Public School at Enowa, Lagos Island, then at Bonham Memorial Methodist School, Port Harcourt, King's College, enrolled at Ilesha Grammar School, where he edited a literary paper called The Quarterly Mirror. Jakande began a career in journalism in 1949 with a daily service and joined the Nigerian Tribune in 1953. The owner, Chief Obafemi Awolowo, appointed Jakande editor-in-chief of the Tribune in 1956. Jakande established John West Publications in 1975 after leaving Tribune and began to publish the Lagos News. He served as the first president of the Newspaper Proprietors Association of Nigeria, NPAN. Jakande ran for election as executive governor of Lagos State in 1979 on the Unity Party of Nigeria platform. His administration was effective and open and implemented the cardinal policies of his party. He introduced housing and educational programs targeting the poor, building new neighborhood primary and secondary schools, and providing free primary and secondary education. He gave poor people's children education, and many of them are now very prominent in the society today. Jakande established the Lagos State University and constructed over 30,000 housing units. After the military takeover in 1983, Jakande was charged, prosecuted, and convicted of treason and later pardoned. He served as Minister of Works under the Sani Abacha military regime. He died in Lagos on February 11, 2021. Lateef Jakande was the first civilian governor of Lagos State. Lateef Kayode Jakande, Souq Enlightenment. Idumota Market. Eko Idumota, once a residential neighborhood, is home to Idumota Market located on Lagos Island. It is one of the oldest and arguably one of the largest markets in West Africa. Idumota is a historic neighborhood adjacent to the Lagos port that facilitated the slave trade, and later, under the British indirect rule, it surrounded to exports that fueled the colonial enterprise. Idumota was also the location of an Armed Forces Remembrance Cenotaph called Soja Idumota, built as a monument to Nigerian soldiers who served with the West African Frontier Force. An Eyo Masquerade statue and a clock tower are also some monuments at Idumota. Idumota Market is so popular that large sales are recorded as early as 7 a.m. The market is made up of hundreds of locked-up shops occupying several multi-story buildings with some measuring about 5 or more floors. In 2010, the Lagos State government demolished some illegal structures in order to improve vehicular and human movement in and around the markets. During weekdays, the neighborhood of Idumota is densely populated by shoppers, traders, and bus passengers. From the Carter Bridge, ascending into Lagos Island, passengers can see the neighborhood before disembarking at their final destination. Idumota Market accommodates the substantial inflow of imported goods. The bulk of import from abroad are routed first through Idumota and then on to other markets through Nigeria and other West and Central African countries. The energy of private Idumota traders and wholesalers facilitate this activity, where millions of US dollars worth of wholesale is exchanged daily. Idumota Markets, Souq Enlightenment. The National Theatre, Igomu, built during the military regime of Olusegun Obasanjo and finished in the time for the Second World Festival of Black Arts and Culture, Festac, in 1977. The theater holds amazing treasures and memories. The artworks fill everyone with pride. The National Arts Theatre is visible from the motorway which connects Lagos Island and the mainland. The National Theatre is packed with the artworks of a legendary contemporary Nigerian artist, stained glass walls by Yusuf Grillo, sculptures and murals by Lamidi Fakeye, Erabo Emopai, and many others. It was put to full use for a month as one of the 4 venues of the Second World Black and African Festival of Arts and Culture, tagged Festac 77. The complex hosted 16,000 participants from 56 African countries and the diaspora in an unprecedented showcase of African music, fine art, literature, drama, dance, and religion. The National Art Theatre was built and designed by Techno Expert Stroll, a Bulgarian company mirroring the Palace of Culture and Sports in Varna, Bulgaria. Completed in 1976, the building is one of the largest and most beautiful of its kind on the African continent. It consists of a central hall with 5,000 seats, a collapsible stage that can be quickly rebuilt, a conference hall with 1,600 seats, 2 large exhibition halls, and 2 cinemas with 800 seats each. The theater complex has a dressing room for artists, a garage, offices, coffee bars, and a buffet. It has indoor TV and radio systems, as well as booths with facilities for simultaneous translation of languages and hectares of lush green lawn around. The majestic structure sits in Igomu like a quiet mountain, mesmerizing visitors and passers-by. The National Theatre, Souq Enlightenment.
My name is Muiba Wonu Folami, an indigenous of Lagos State, Ikorodu, to be specific. I was born in Lagos 86 years ago, and to the glory of God, I'm still alive and well, and trying to be a relative in the cause of women. I attended primary school. I started at Ansarudin Alakuru School. From there to CMS Girls School, and then Queen's College, Lagos. From Queen's College, I went to the Portsmouth College of Technology for my A-levels, and then University of London for my first degree in law. The same university for my master's degree in law. I had, between obtaining my master's and my first degree, I was in Nigeria to do the mandatory law school course. I was one of the last people to do a 3-month course before it was changed to 1 year. And then went back to England for my master's. And from there to lecture at the University of Zambia. Back to Nigeria, I was appointed by Dr. Taslim Elias, the CJ of Nigeria, to the Commission for Advance Notice to Lawyers of Developments in Law. It was a commission funded by the Ford Foundation to keep lawyers abreast of the developments in law. I was a director there. Then from there, I was admitted to the Federal Ministry of Justice. After being legal advisor to many ministries, I ended up as the Director of Public Prosecutions for the Federation. And after that, whilst I was the Director of DPP, I was appointed Attorney General and Commissioner for Justice in Lagos State. After retirement, I've been involved in social work, in religion. I've always had religion, but I spend more time on religion. I read, I watch telly, and I live a good life, to the glory of God. You see, when you begin to think that it was not until 2007 that women started to get equal pay in tennis tournaments. And it was something that was fought for. Little things like that does not add to equality. But when it was done, it may be small, but at work, even at work in employment, women are still discriminated against. And most women do 2 jobs. They look after the home, and they do the normal work that a man does in an office. Why I fail to understand this inequality in the treatment of women is that the work, the responsibilities in the workplace is not reduced for women, even though we do not want to be paid the same salary as men. It's a fight that has continued, and in that area, I think we need to do more to push for more recognition. Women have contributed immensely to the society. The men that are now resisting equal pay were brought up by women. Exactly. That's what I do not understand, that they can think like that. We continue to push.
But how can we speed this up?
By bringing it to the attention of world powers, recognition by every country of equal opportunities, equal pay. I want to know, I want somebody to explain to me the jobs that women cannot do.
Yeah.
they've contributed immensely. Even in the new thing, IT, but we're at equal, at par with men. So I do not see the reason for it. Unfortunately, I did not experience it because when I left university, I practiced law briefly in my uncle's chambers before I went to University of Zambia as a lecturer. There, my position was enhanced in the sense that I was a foreigner and I got all the benefits of being a foreigner, serving in their service. Fortunately, in Nigeria today, the federal government does not discriminate in terms of salaries. Whether you're a man or a woman, you get the same salary scale. And you are promoted on equal basis. Kudos to the federal government, to Nigeria for that. But in the private sector, things are different. In some companies, this is the areas that we have to work on because the job content is the same. Some of these facilities are available in Nigeria. I learned by being a member of the Society for the Disabled that every government body must admit a certain percentage of women and of disabled people. So most times this opportunity is not taken. They are bound to employ them. We continue to push for that to be implemented in most ministries. It's important because it's there. You have to take a certain percentage of disabled people to work in government positions. It's important that we work to enforce that rule in our society. When it comes to discrimination, Nigeria is way ahead of some developed countries because we, through slavery, we faced discrimination right from the beginning. We now know how to resist it. But in my country, Nigeria, in the federal government, in the state government, there is no discrimination. It may happen in private organizations, but they must continue to push to let them understand that the job content is the same. Well, you see, traditionally, under our culture, women are in the other room. Well, the quotation. Yeah. That's our society. That's our culture. It's going to take a long time to evolve. In my time, female education was not so popular. It's only the educated few that strove to send their children to school, their girl child to school. They end up trading with their mothers or going to market and getting married off early. But as education began to rise in our community, its value was seen by my parents and others of their contemporaries to educate the girl child. And I believe the society is benefiting from that. I mean, so we must continue to push for the education of women, of girls. I have thought that, you know, when I read that, the certain state government has appointed for, look at our National Assembly, 4 women in the Senate. Isn't that shameful? And that is the society. We have to continue to push women up. Let these political parties know that we want women. Let us organize ourselves to continue to vote for women massively. I give kudos to our governor, Babajide Sanwo-Olu. His cabinet is, women is well represented in his cabinet. And I enjoy that. I love him for that. And I continue to urge him to do more. He's done a lot. I think Lagos State has the largest representative of women in cabinet. First of all, they have to project themselves in their office space, their workspace. Let everybody know that they are equal to the task. Let us organize. There's a lot of society groups and societies that cater for the interest of women. I believe now violence against women is reducing in the society because there are sanctions for such behavior. I must say that speaking to the organization in charge of violence against women, I was amused to learn that some men come there to complain and that they are also being violated and abused.
Yes, it's a two-way thing.
It's a two-way thing. So that is reducing our society. Education of the girl child is important. We have to let the locals know that education is important. Let them showcase to them the lives of those who have been educated and who are holding high positions. I'm glad that our president, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, has returned history to the classrooms. It's important. Let them know about people that have contributed to the development of our societies and country. It's important. Yes, it's education. It's education. Once people are educated and they know that there is nothing a man can do that a woman cannot do when it comes to the workplace. We have women engineers, miners, and also all over. There is, give me a job specific that a woman cannot do, then I'll change my views. So the moment you begin to upgrade education, let government now continue to vote more for education. I don't believe we are doing enough. There is a UN convention, and I think Nigeria is part of that convention, that a certain amount of a nation's income should be devoted to education. I'm not sure whether Nigeria is complying with that. But some states are better than others. And we must, education, I believe in education of the girl child. some states now are taking children, girls off the street. Hawking is completely prohibited. Things like that will help. Unfortunately, in Nigeria, we are not advanced enough to use our votes to change things. We are still not voting for individuals. We are voting for parties, irrespective of performance. Education will help. And when we join other nations for the same purpose, we get results. Our organizations who are fighting for women in Nigeria should join worldwide organizations to showcase our own situation and learn. I believe that when you talk to others, you come back with ideas on how to improve things. So we must improve things by telling women in positions to show, to continue to prove that they are more than up to the task. It will not come to us on a platter of gold. We must show by our actions and behavior that we are up to the task. Of course, some women are wrong in claiming equal rights to their husbands in the house. I completely abhor that behavior. Even though they are husband and wife, the man in my culture remains the head. He should be respected. His views should be respected. It's only now the condition of living is so high that you join the two incomes together to run the house. In the past, it was the men that ran the house to pay for everything. Maybe some of these women are thinking that because they are contributing a quota to the development, that they have equal rights. Yes, they have equal rights in the upbringing of the children, in their homes and everything. But respect is important. That will keep the home, and the children will learn and imbibe it into their own children too. Equal rights does not, in my view, mean that you can be rude, can not submit to your husband's wishes. Equal rights means something differently. Respect comes out of it. It's important. I go out and I'm like appalled at the way women dress. There's a competition to show as much of your body, to produce as much of your body that you can. It's absolutely disgusting. They're not women. They're no longer women. The exposure, things that if you did in my time, a member of the community will cover you with a cloth and send you home. Because community mattered at that time. You dare not misbehave outside your compound because this community is watching you and reprimanding you if you go wrong, if you behave badly outside. That is law. And that is why you see people, even their dressing, show disrespect to womanhood and to themselves and to the community. We must teach our children etiquette of dressing, speech, a decent manner. We don't have it anymore. We're losing it, and it's shameful because people are appreciating naked women on the streets.
Yeah.
Both sides. If people dress badly, and you tell them and ignore them, they won't try the next time. For instance, I believe nobody can dress to come to my house or to come to my party like a naked woman. I will turn her back. I will turn her back. So that's the type of thing that we should all do. Let the people doing this know that we do not appreciate things like this. When the society itself corrects it, we must correct it individually. We should, it does, if their parents cannot correct it, we must, by ignoring them and not allowing them to come near us. Show our women that have contributed to the society.
Yeah.
Show them, showcase them, showcase them.
Yeah.
We have the first woman senior advocate of Nigeria. We have Okonjo we have, in the UN. We have all sorts. We have, what's this pharmaceutical woman? She's done so much. The younger ones are there. Little ones like Shadi Okoya is managing her husband's company and doing well. Let's encourage them. They are young. The young ones, they are working to improve the society. There's so many of them out there. We should showcase them. Let them know that we have women who are of top quality, intelligent, and well-behaved, and they dress well. Dressing well is dressing in a manner that is appealing to the eyes, not nakedness. That's my darling, this new CJN of Nigeria.
Okay.
Who do that? I did talk about Kekere. I mean, we're there. Female CJN.
Yeah.
And there are so many female chief judges all over the Federation. There are so many in the medical profession, in the engineering profession. We have pilots. So let them know that there is nothing that a woman cannot do. In IT, in everything, women are moving forward. We should showcase them. We should let their pictures be seen in our newspapers, in our news, in everything, to encourage young girls that you too can get there. If they don't see, and if they don't know the history of these women, how they got there, they too will not be inspired. We have to inspire the young people with the achievements of women achievers. Kekere rose from magistrate to right to the top. I admire her. She's well composed, well behaved. Some of these people, when they become something, they lose their heads. They start being, no, she's so respectful, well behaved, well dressed. I don't think she would allow herself or her children to come out naked. Never. So people like that, Okonjo are the same. We have a lot.
Nigeria, rich in traditional and cultural heritage, is intentional about promoting history and retaining cultural values. The country has succeeded in preserving its identities and that of the forefathers for ages through folklores, folk tales, traditional ceremonies, community-based initiatives, cuisine, and most notably, museums and cultural centers. These institutions serve as invaluable repositories of history, ensuring that future generations remain connected to their roots and appreciate the diverse cultural tapestry of the nation. In Nigeria, there are over 38 museums comprising national, state, and privately owned institutions scattered across the country. Each of these museums plays a crucial role in safeguarding Nigeria's vast historical wealth, with collections that reflect the uniqueness of different ethnic groups, traditional practices, and historical transitions over time. In Lagos, the National Museum located at the center of the city in Onikon claims a notable collection of Nigerian art, including pieces of statuary, carvings, archaeological, and ethnographical exhibits, among others. Of particular significance is the terracotta human head, known as Jema head, dated between 900 and 200 BC, which is part of the renowned Nok culture. The piece is named after Jema, the village where it was discovered. The museum is administered by the National Commission for Museums and Monuments and remain a key educational and historical attractions for visitors. Another prominent artifact housed within the museum is the famous Benin bronze head, an evidence to the artistic excellence of the Benin Kingdom.
The museum has a lot of functions, some of which are to educate, to entertain, research, interpretation, conservation and preservation of our cultural heritage. And then the museum was established, Lagos Museum particularly, was established in 1957. It was formerly referred to as Department of Antiquities. So, well, the journey so far has been interesting because, we are here, to showcase our cultural heritage, not just to the country, but to the world. And we have series of, events that we do, that involve the community. And because of that, we create that awareness that this is where you can come and, see and feel your cultural heritage, your traditions, your history. Because it is said that a people without a history is a people without identity. So the museum portrays this to the people. And over the years, that is what we've been doing. Through education, community participation, we have galleries, that we display some of our objects, our antiquities, that showcase our patrimony and all there is to know about our cultural inheritance. And so the museum, has been doing that over the years, and, we still keep doing more.
The Lagos National Museum was founded in July 1957 by English archaeologist Kenneth Murray, following the submission of textural sketch in 1948 at a conference on museum policy in Nigeria. Kenneth Murray collected several traditional masks from Cross River State to display in the museum's early years, according to historical records. The primary purpose of structuring the museum was to preserve Nigeria's historical artifacts and cultural heritage. Fortunately, that vision has remained alive to this day. The museum serves as a significant tourist attraction for Lagos residents and international visitors alike, offering an immersive glimpse into the nation's past. Some of the remarkable artifacts currently on display at the museum include the bullet-ridden car in which former Nigerian head of state, General Murtala Muhammad, was assassinated, pictures of previous rulers and presidents of Nigeria from different eras, a dive diverse collection of cultural drums, tools, and ceremonial staffs from various ethnic groups, historical crowns, and caps of revered traditional rulers symbolizing their power and authority. Photographs of Queen Elizabeth II and her entourage during her visit to Nigeria, reflecting moments of colonial history.
It's so immense. Museum is a reminder of what the society is all about, because a number of us are missing the link. We don't even know the role, the significance of the society we find ourselves because of foreign influence. But when you come to museum, it will bring your mind back to the original habitat, the way of life of people, how things should be seen in the society, and how we should react to phenomenal changes in our environment. Basically, we'll be doing this work of educating the general public, not only Nigerians, over 20-something years here, and the impact has been so tremendous. To the point that what we do at the museum is in consonance with the curriculum of our institutions, from primary, nursery, primary, secondary, even tertiary, even people in their corporate organization. They deem it to come to National Museum anytime they feel like we are missing the link, we have missed a lot of things concerning the way of life of our forefathers. You know, even here, apart from that, we do have what is called seminar. We organize seminar for expatriates, for individuals. They come around on Wednesdays to come and listen and learn on cultural-based subjects.
I think it's great. I mean, I particularly like the circle of life that are presented in here, right? From birth to reincarnation to external influences. I think I gave a good history of Nigeria. I learned a lot about that. There seems to be some real big connection between Nigeria and Benin in terms of the history that I wasn't totally aware of. I was able to see the different artifacts and stuff that were presented. So it was quite interesting. They did, I think, a pretty good job doing a comprehensive tour or comprehensive history of Nigeria and its culture and its surrounding areas.
A visit to the Lagos National Museum offers an enriching experience, transporting visitors back in time and allowing them to connect with Nigeria's rich and diverse history. The museum provides an opportunity to explore stories of resilience, artistry, and governance that have shaped the nation. Whether you are a history enthusiast, a student, or simply a curious traveler, stepping into this museum promises a nostalgic journey through Nigeria's past, fostering a deeper appreciation for its cultural legacy. Nigeria continues to reflect the stories that shapes its people, steadfast in its commitment to promoting history and preserving its cultural values for generations to come. Grace Komalafe, Souq Perspective.
Well, thank you very much indeed. My name is Stephen Kola Balogun. I happen to be a lawyer, and should I call myself a pseudo-politician? Not quite a politician, but I've served in government before, and I'm delighted to be here. You know. Well, thank you very much. Well, yes, is it my family or the wider family? I mean, like I said, I'm the son of Chief Dr. Kolawole Balogun of blessed memory. Like I said, he was a former politician, a frontline politician. He was the General Secretary of the National Council of Nigeria and the Cameroons, later National Council of Nigerian Citizens. He was the General Secretary of that party for about 8 years. From there, he was appointed by Souq to become a federal minister. He was initially a federal minister without portfolio. Consequently, after that, he became acting minister for labor, social services, and then he became Nigeria's first federal minister for information in 1956. He held that portfolio to 1958. Thereafter, he resigned from government. He had disagreement with the party, and Tafawa Balewa felt that he was a useful politician that could be sent to Ghana. And he went to Ghana to find out what was Ghana was a bit ahead of us in terms of politics at the time. I think it's fair to say they got independence just before us. And Tafawa Balewa wanted someone to understudy to find out what we're doing. So he sent Kola Balogun there. Initially, he was commissioner, and later, when we gained independence in 1960, he became High Commissioner. Shortly after that, when we became independent, he yearned to come home. He wanted to take part in the new political atmosphere at the time. He asked the Prime Minister to relieve him, to let him come back, and he did come back home. And immediately he took up the position of being chairman of the National Shipping Line. That was a position he held on to until the military struck in 1966. But even then, when the military did strike in 1966, he still continued. I think General Debayo of blessed memory invited him to join his cabinet, and he served as a commissioner for about 3 years or more. I think he was commissioner for health and was commissioner for education. Later, he also became chairman of this sketch group of companies as well. And that was about it. I think after his stint in government, he decided to go and do a PhD at the University of Ibadan. And then he went back into private legal practice. And then he started this agitation for the creation of Osun State. He and a few others set up the movement. He was the chairman of the movement. And then to the glory of God, in 1991, Osun State was created. And that's it.
Tell us about mommy.
Well, yes, my mother. Well, in those days, the woman wants not so much in the forefront, But my mother has been my bedrock. She stood by me, and she has backed me in most of the things I've set out to do, And she's still alive. She's 89 this year, and she's still doing well, and she's still
and your wife
going
and
strong.
The kids?
Yes, my children. Yes, I have 3 girls, 3 daughters. My oldest is 31. She studied at King's College London. She did reasonably well. She got a 7th class upper. Proud of her. She's an art curator today. They have twin girls as well who are also in university now, that they haven't graduated yet. One of them is in Oxford University. She's studying history and politics. And the other is in Cambridge University. She's studying human, social, and political sciences. So, yeah. I did. My father, Chief Kolawole Balogun of blessed memory. Yes, he was in the first cabinet in the First Republic, the first ever cabinet Nigeria had, and he served as the Federal Minister of Information and Research. As a matter of fact, he happened to be Nigeria's first information minister. Later, T.S. Benson, of course, became the independent Nigeria's first information minister, but independent Nigeria. But Nigeria's first ever information minister happened to be Chief Kolawole Balogun of blessed memory. No, I didn't. I took an opposite route from my father. my father went into politics immediately after he finished his education, and then he now ventured into law a little bit later. I decided to look at things differently. I thought that after academics I should practice law a bit, and that's what I've been doing. But at some point, I think that was in about 2011, I was called upon to serve in the Ocean State government as a commissioner, and I took up that opportunity, and I enjoyed myself. Well, I am in the sense that I'm 65 years old now, and I think it's fair to say that we belong to, well, I won't say the first set, but one of those who benefited from Nigerian education. I schooled here. I went to secondary school in the West. I went to the University of Ife. Went to the Nigerian Law School. I think it's fair to say that all the schools at that time were of high quality, produced top quality students who went on to make names for themselves, not just here in Nigeria, but also abroad. I think we still do that now, even though the standard of education has dropped. The sad thing about it is that Nigeria could have been a lot better in terms of the potential, because Nigeria does have a lot of potential. We do have very brilliant young men and women, and I just think that if we had invested more in education, that we could have, the sky would have been the limit, actually. Well, my take on this is that it's the system of law itself. As a young lawyer, I experienced a few challenges myself, and I think one of the obvious challenges is the appeal structure. It's too easy to appeal against judgments. At the same time, when you file actions in court, there are no penalties for costs. In other words, I can file a frivolous action. I could insult you, as an example, and then you could sue me. And I say to myself, well, I'm going to eke it out. I'm going to take it. You're going to have to take me all the way to the Supreme Court. That doesn't make sense. That's not fair. On the other hand, I could also file a frivolous application against you. And then, filing a frivolous application, I could call you something you are not. I could defame you. And in so doing, you expect at least that once you prove your case, that I will be made to pay the penalties for filing frivolous applications. But that doesn't happen. And then, of course, the conditions of the judges. I mean, the judges are still writing longhand. They do trials, they sit there, they listen to witnesses, give evidence, and they have to write all these things down longhand. So there's so many challenges that has hampered the progress of law. And there hasn't been enough investment, I must say. Well, I agree with that, and I'm going to give an example as to how that I think we could possibly do that. Now, the Supreme Court hears everything. It's the final court in Nigeria, so they're going to hear issues related to criminal law, civil matters, constitutional matters, as you know, all these matters that's got to do with elections, so on and so forth. As a matter of fact, when we have an election cycle, the legal system slows down because the judges are hampered. They're too busy listening to the various appeals from the various states and the federal government to do with the elections. So as a consequence, the other matters to do with shipping, banking, criminal law are put on the back burner. I think we need what you call a constitutional court, whereby which the judges in the Supreme Court are divided. So you have those judges whose responsibility it is entirely to deal with constitutional matters, and then you have another set whose duty will be to deal with shipping, banking, civil matters, criminal matters, and so on and so forth. So I believe it's high time Nigeria has a constitutional court to try and aid the Supreme Court with the workload they have, which is, quite frankly, quite a bit. Nigerians, with respect, are very brilliant, very intelligent, and they are very aware. It doesn't matter who you are, whether you're a tailor, you're a driver, you're a lawyer, engineer, they are quite well informed. And the truth of the matter really is that this is the longest republic we've had. This republic started in 1999, and this is 2025, so 26 years. Nigeria's never had a republic this long. But the main flaw is the one you just mentioned. The fact that that constitution that was bequeathed to us by the military in 1999 was never really approved by the people. Now, that doesn't make sense, and that's unfair. In fairness, we ought to be able to look at the constitution, improve upon it, and put our own input into it. Now, there's a way around that, and I've always believed, many people oppose this, but I'm of the view that what Nigerians need to have is a referendum. Have a referendum to ask the Nigerian people whether they want to persist with the 1999 constitution, or do they want to drop a new one? If the answer to that question is yes, we want to drop a new constitution, then that puts paid to the 1999 constitution, and then you can now have a system, a constituent assembly, whatever the case may be, where people will sit around the table and fashion out a new constitution. If the people say no, that means they've indirectly approved the 1999 constitution, and then we continue with it. But what we can't do is continue having this debate, these arguments as to whether the 1999 constitution has been approved by Nigerians or not, because it has not been. So I think the way around that is to ask the Nigerian people through a referendum, asking them whether they want to persist with this constitution. If they say no, then we have a new one. If they say yes, we continue with the old one. And that ends the debate. Every system has its merits. Every system has its advantages and disadvantages. To some extent, the presidential system of government has an advantage. It has the advantage in the sense that it has brought government nearer to the people. So the people of Osun, from where I'm from, for instance, now, have their own state. Same thing can be said, it's been replicated across the country. However, the drawbacks, the disadvantage is the fact that it's extremely expensive. Now, look at Nigeria, for instance, now. We have 36 state governments. So that means we have 36 governments in Nigeria. If you add the government of Abuja, if you add the federal government, that's 38. Now, each one of these governments have some form of legislature, judiciary, an executive as well, local government, civil service. It's too expensive. Look, in America, where we borrowed this system from, the states came together to form a union. This is totally different. We are doing it the opposite way. So we've had a structure that we're now going back. So at the end of the day, many of the state governments are still dependent on the federal government. And as a consequence, the kind of progress we ought to be making, we're not quite making it. So I personally, and this is a personal view because others would disagree, I would prefer that we reduce the size of government by having some kind of regional structure. And I believe that will reduce the burden of governments. And if we can reduce the burdens of government, we can use this money to do many other things. And I also think it will also improve standards as well. Not just standards of government or parliamentary standards or whatever the case may be, but there'll be less people involved in the political system. And that would help us a great deal. Well, I think it's fair to say that since 1999, we haven't had any new state creation. I know there's been agitation for the creation of states, but there hasn't been any. The process for creating a state is quite cumbersome. It's not easy. I think it's in Section 8 and 9 of the Constitution. I don't think it's something we should be looking at. I think, like I said to you earlier, I think we should be trying to reduce the number of states, and I think some kind of regional structure whereby which we can monitor better what's going on rather than having more states. So I personally would not encourage the creation of more states, no. In the 1950s, we had 3 regions, if I'm correct. Those regions were the West, the East, and the North. We had the colony of Lagos, but if I'm right, I think it was the Macpherson Constitution, I think it is, I'm not too sure, that now put Lagos under the Western region. Now, when Lagos was placed under the Western region, lots of people were not happy about that. I remember my father was in the NCNC. The NCNC people were not particularly pleased, neither were the NPC. So they felt that Lagos belonged to everybody. Like you said, lots of people from different walks of life, different tribes, different backgrounds, and all schooled. I mean, Zik schooled in Lagos. He went to MBHS. So the issue was sent to London to arbitrate. I think it was Oliver Littleton that arbitrated over the matter. And it was decided that Lagos should stand on its own, that Lagos should not be merged with any of the regions. And that was how Lagos was able to free itself from the shackles of the Western region. It's fair to say that the position of the NCNC was actually argued in London by my father. That's why I'm quite familiar with this. But talking about Lagos, when the military, after that, we had what you called a minister for Lagos. I think there was Ribadu, and I think there was one other person, but I think it was Yaradua, not the same Yaradua, but his father. And then later after that, when the military struck, they created the state of Lagos. So the issue of giving Lagos special status has more or less been taken over by events. Lagos is a state, and as a state, it's still home to different people with different backgrounds, from different tribes, and it's thriving. I think it's fair to say that Lagos is probably the most prosperous state in the country. And it's just a question of its continuing with good governance and improving the strides they have made. Once again, let's go back to the past. We had what we used to call the House of Chiefs, wasn't it? And in those House of Chiefs, many of the members of the House of Chiefs were people, were traditional rulers, chiefs from different backgrounds, and they had a say in the running of the affairs of state. It's like it was more or less akin to the House of Lords. So it wasn't necessarily the chamber whereby which the activities of day-to-day governance took place, but they could always refer issues to them. And I think that if we change our structure of governance, and if, that's a big if, then yes, we can have something like that. We can have a second chamber, which is more or less advisory in nature, similar to the House of Lords, whereby which we will have obas and chiefs and people of influence who will be able to advise government from day to day from of the experiences and the way forward, but not necessarily binding. I think that's important. Their decisions won't necessarily be binding on us, but at least they'll be able to share their views and experiences with the people. That's a big issue. I was commissioner for youth in Oshun about 10 years ago.